We're back here at It's Time podcast with Sam Nunez.
Christopher Lopez.
Goddamn Sam.
And we got a special guest, and this special guest is gonna drop down some diamonds and rubies. He's been in the industry overall. He's been in some big players out there from Pitbull, Jay-Z, who else? Baby Bash, and the list just keeps on going. So we got somebody in the house, and I want to give this guy up. What's up, man?
Yeah, man, Crisco Kidd. Crisco Kidd Block Party. Thank y'all for having me here. I see I got the camera set up. It's official. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Sir.
I just did a commercial the other day for Mevo. So if y'all need a little plug on all the cameras, we got a whole different setup too. I just gotta throw that out there. You know what I'm saying? Mevo.
Shit, we're ready.
Yeah, check that out too, man. Check that out.
So, man, to start it off, what made you get into the industry and what age?
You know, I was talking about this last night. I was at a wedding, and it was some high school friends. And, you know, Michael B. Jordan's kind of trending right now, how they said, oh, it's kind of, he was kind of corny or whatever. I remember him walking around school. He had his headshots and, you know, blam, blam, blam. Last night I heard a couple of them stories, and it was about me. And I'm like, damn. So it kind of confers, you know, what I thought about where I wanted to go in my life at an early age. And since kindergarten, I did a video for one of my partners with Logitech, and they were like, what was that moment? They had asked me that question. I thought about it, and I was like, damn. You know, like in kindergarten, you got them elementary school plays.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And mine was, I just held up a sign that says C is for cookie. I'll never forget that, because after that moment, I just knew that I wanted to be in radio. Or somehow, I did the school announcements, I think starting like at first or second grade. And so it was really about being more in radio or behind a mic than it was actual DJing. Mm-hmm. I started DJing later. Actually, it was just hosting and emceeing and all that before. So early age, man, probably kindergarten, first grade.
Right.
Definitely.
So recognizing your voice at a young age.
I just knew, man. Like I would hear
First
people on the radio.
since first grade.
Yeah, I just knew I could do it.
Was there somebody that inspired you in first grade? It was like a first entry for a hit. Like you saw an idol, or you saw like that artist or that up and coming trend what was coming up that it kind of attracted you?
No, like that. The weird thing is, like at that early age, I didn't know anything except for like listening to people in the car. Mm-hmm. So if you look at different radio personalities then and like what everyone was listening to, my mom used to listen, I think like 93Q, and I think his name was John Landers. But I remember he let me win some season passes to Astroworld one time, and I was like, oh, this is it. Yeah. And like that was on the radio. They ran me back in the car. I remember going to school that morning. And that just kind of confirmed to me, like, it's just what I wanted to do, man. Right. I don't know how to explain it. Then I was in Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, and we took a field trip to a radio station. And it was Mix 96.5 at the time. I think it's still Mix here. And I don't remember who I met, but I remember the tour. And I was like, again, this is what I want to do. It was just, I just knew. And it wasn't until middle school that I had went to a Hispanic Career Day. So I don't know if have y'all been in one of those before?
Oh, yes.
The George L. Brown Convention Center. And we're talking like in the 90s. And so my dad was a principal and a football coach at his school. And he was like, hey, I'm gonna pick you up. I want you to come with us to the Sounds. All right, cool. And that's where, and I tell G-Man this all the time. So it wasn't later until middle school that I heard G-Man on a panel. I think he was doing Tejano music still at the time. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do what G-Man does. Yeah. And it was always confirmations of what I wanted to do. Right. It wasn't necessarily a moment like, oh, bam, bam. It was always, I knew, and I was getting signs that I should keep going in this direction. Yeah. Right. G-Man knows. He knows this stuff. I've told him this story multiple times, and anytime I come back in town, I'll reach out or whatever, and I'm like, So it was cool to finally work with him later in life.
Yeah.
All right.
So you're originally from Houston?
Oh, yeah, I'm from Houston.
Okay, born and raised.
You said you're born and raised.
Man. Yeah.
All right,
So
right.
Who was that first artist, that big artist that you had to interact with, that got to work with and like collaborate with, that kind of like said like I'm officially in a position of influence now?
See, that's tough, because
maybe most meaningful to you, but maybe from an external place, somebody would think that's more meaningful. Like, but not. What was that person for you? Was it somebody local? Was it somebody international?
No, definitely local. So like, being from Houston, we're blessed because we have an abundance.
Oh yeah, so many artists.
We have
trendsetters.
And so that's the beautiful thing about being from Houston, is that
Which side of Houston though?
North side.
You from the north side? Okay, yeah. North side is in here.
No.
Yeah.
From
we around the same area.
From 1960 to Greens Road, man. That's
and you know what? And I'm off the 59 area.
Yep.
But I grew up around that Greenspoint area too.
See, I went to Westfield and Humboldt High School.
Okay.
So I went to both. So my parents were divorced at an early age.
Yeah.
So we're on
Westfield.
different sides of town. So anything, that's what I'm saying. 59, 1960.
Yeah.
From Willowbrook to Deerbrook, man. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 1960
to
right there.
Greens Point. It's like a
Greens Point,
triangle I
everything.
kind of navigated in, man. But so, I mean, early in even before radio, I was just a little roadie when I started DJing in high school. And one of my friends, his brother was the lead singer of a Tejano band. And Selena was still alive because I saw Selena
back in
perform
the-
at
back in the
Astro
early
World.
90s.
This is before the big rodeo thing. I saw Selena perform at Astro World, and it was one of the biggest gang fights I've ever seen in my life after the show. It happened right on the bridge over the freeway. That's a whole
That's where
different
they all
story, different
happen at.
conversation.
That's what
Right?
Selena,
But
man.
we're talking after Selena
Yeah.
concert,
Okay.
not the
Yeah.
rodeo one
Okay,
before
okay.
that. And so during that whole time, though, when I was just starting DJing, my friend, his Big Lou, man, and so they would open up for different bands, or they would do their own quinceañeras and weddings. And so being able to work with like Tejano legends and be around them, just opening up or playing records in between, that was kind of cool. I wasn't doing anything production wise, but to get in the conversation and see that Tejano movement really grow.
Which was big back then.
Huge.
Huge.
And so,
Really? Yeah, I remember that.
man, that's what I'm just saying. Like, Houston is such a great place to grow up, man, and be around all that.
Right.
And then in music, as far as jumping in radio, I just always positioned myself, like in high school, I would throw my own parties. And so on my side of town, I would buy commercials. And so it was Kiss 98.5, and there would be some on another station as well. And we would buy commercials, and I would throw my own parties. And we still doing hand flyers, and then we stepped it up a little bit, and we were able to afford the glossy joints, which at the time were like $600, $700. Now you can print them all day.
Right.
But that was big for a high school junior, you know, just trying to throw our own parties and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I was able to meet the different people at the radio stations. I was at Metropolis, so Metropolis used to do 50-cent drinks on a Thursday.
50-cent
and
drinks.
So, yeah, then it went to
That
75
Thursday ran
cents.
for a long
And then
time.
it went to $1, then $1.25.
You
So
start raising up the price and everything.
Yeah.
I turned 21 like 4 times. And so, because why you just look so young? But I was always with the DJs. And so, again, I know we're talking about specific artists, but it goes back because I was just young, not even necessarily in radio yet.
Right.
And by the time getting into radio, you know, our scene, you saw like kind of freestyle come back, and then you saw like
freestyle was
the
big
explosion
back
of
then, too.
Latin,
Yeah.
like Mexican rappers.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like
Like SPM.
the emergence of
and all
SPM and Dope House before Bash had moved here, then Bash moved here,
Right.
and the whole Salty Water and man, they're gonna kill me, man. I can't remember. There was somebody at Fat Texas 100.7. The crazy, we used to be in this building. I don't know if y'all
In this
knew
building?
Oh.
100.7 House Party started in this building.
Oh shoot.
Then turned to Party 104.9.
That's the first station you was at, right?
Yeah, we
Okay.
were in this building, and I
Right.
couldn't remember which floor it was, but
That's
I
how
was
you
pulling
got.
up.
That's how you knew how to get in.
Easy.
Yeah.
Man, this guy knew what?
Easy.
What?
Our
his
promotions
car.
department was downstairs, and we were like on I can't remember the floor, but that's so crazy. We're back in this building, kind of talking about some of this stuff, because this is where it started.
Awesome.
But all those different artists that came up through there. My first radio interview though was like Proyecto Uno in person, and then my first big interview because homie Marco was sick that day, or hungover, homie. I don't know which one it was. Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre.
And they were like, we need somebody right now. Dr. Dre is on the phone. Who is here that can interview? I'm like, shit, I talk DJ Overdose, man. Him and Kool-Aid, like my big bros, and Jammin' Jay and Penetrate and
And this
Mike
is probably
Pierce.
Death Row Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
No, this is right when he dropped
Aftermath?
Chronic.
The Chronic?
2001.
In 2001.
Okay, so that's Aftermath.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, and so he's about to go on tour with the it was Eminem and that big
Yeah.
tour, man. They had, like,
Up in
Yeah.
Smoke.
That's
Up
the one
in
that
Smoke,
fucking
99,
blew up.
2000.
Yeah.
And so that was to promote that, and obviously, I don't know if y'all noticed, but it didn't happen in Houston. For whatever reason, something with the Astrodome, it didn't happen. They did one in Dallas, they did other markets, but it was to promote the tour that was happening. So that's why we need Dr. Dre right now. And I was like, bam. So that was like the first big interview.
Yeah.
Then Jay-Z, right after 9/11, was like another interview that was pretty big. And I had worked with, I don't know if you guys know Ace, but
Ace Hood?
Ace Urban Life Promo. So he had him and Lump were the two like street teams.
Yeah, I remember Lump.
And so
On the Level Promotion.
On the Level, yeah. So shout out to them because they helped me understand a different side of radio and records and DJ, which was the promo side with that. And there was another guy named Sam that a lot of people got their house records from. And so building, Ace was like, all right, let me show you how to do some of the street team stuff. Because I also did street team work for Latium Records at the time too. But before Latium, that's how I learned how to snipe.
Who I was on Latium?
Latium was,
I remember the name.
Well, Bash, obviously Chameleonaire, Natalie, Gemini.
Okay, right.
We did all the Latin World projects. Frankie J at one point. I mean, Charles Chavez and everyone.
Oh yeah, they had a big wave. Yeah.
But street team was super important to Houston because that's where if you went to like a Sound Waves or if you went like all the concerts that were happening, y'all know what sniping is?
Yeah, you know? Putting up the posters everywhere.
Yeah. So like hitting the posters and like learning how to do that. Paul Wall used to do that shit too.
They still do it, right?
Yeah.
Now it's kind of illegal now. You get in trouble for doing it now.
You can't do it as many.
Yeah.
I see it every now and then on the corner. I'm like, oh, look at that.
Yeah,
they'll take it off.
Displays in record stores too and all that. Like that's what I mean. Like so to learn that side of promo.
Right.
And then put it all together in radio.
That was a great era though. When you think about that, hanging up the posters, the CDs and everything, all the physical parts of the hip hop game. Now we in the streaming era.
Yeah.
Everything on the phone.
Yeah, the streaming.
Promo and everything.
Everything, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Tell you
Hope
what.
that answered your question. Sorry, because it's kind of around, you know.
No, you're good.
It was. I think it's more enlightening to see, like, you know, because again, a lot of people think like, oh, I got to do things with all these big artists, but it starts from the beginning, like the foundation that's laid.
Yeah.
And then you grow into all these other big things that everybody else considers big, and people don't really understand the journey is more meaningful to you, and it builds a foundation for you to be able to go and have these other conversations and opportunities.
Right. Everything plays a significant role at some point. Even if you think it's not significant, you learn something from it.
Yep.
Right.
You're supposed to do that for whatever season you were in because you're more prepared for what you need to be later.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
And it sounds like you have to enjoy the process, and it's still memories and friendships that you carry with you forward too.
There's still memories to this day. Every day, something new.
That's one thing is memories. Memories is one important thing. Without memories, man, it doesn't really exist.
Right.
You must have those memories. So I'm gonna ask something, man. What are the hardship that you've gone through in this industry, where it says like, man, I'm in the breaking point right now, or hey, you know, what is your biggest breaking point, and how did you overcome a breaking point? Because I believe each one of us, including me, I can speak for myself. I've had breaking points where I'm like,
big hardships.
Like this is really happening. This is really going on right now. So what is the breaking point of your life where you say, bro, I've gone through some breaking points? Because breaking points makes a man, makes a woman, and it shrinks them, and they they bounce back, but they come back bouncing back strong, and they have that thick skin now where it's like, bro, what? Like, what? How'd you overcome this? You know?
I don't think like career-wise. There's a couple of points. I mean, radio is just we're no different than professional athlete but just the fact we don't get paid those millions like per se that they do.
Right.
But you know, we work with a team. Then you may get transferred, you may get let go, your contract may be up, you may get an extension. And so I've been able to do Houston, Albuquerque, back to Houston, back to Albuquerque, LA, Dallas, now Phoenix. And so, you know, obviously when you're let go at a station or your station has flipped, it means like flip formats. So you're no longer, like that's what happened with Party 93.3.
They'll change genres or...
We went from, you know, it was one night at Toke Bar, it was our last broadcast, and then on Monday they called us in, we're like, hey man, we're flipping it to contemporary Spanish. We're like,
yeah.
All right. And so Party 93.3 was done.
New objective.
Not the same Univision, but they just made more money doing, you know, Spanish. And so we were kind of upset, like, damn, we helped create a whole culture in this city. Like, literally, people's livelihoods that were built on what we did with Party. And so that was a little tough. because of what the energy that we all put into it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We're supposed to be working on a documentary about all of us and what we did at Party and even before it, Kids 98.5 and what as a whole we brought to the city. Because I really do mean that when I say a whole culture,
right,
that the world looks at was built during that whole era. I
agree.
And it was a real, it hurt to see the station go away. But personally, though, I would think I had cancer in 2004, and so I feel like that let me be able to navigate anything.
Right.
And so once you go through something that you feel like it could be a wrap, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or like, damn, I should start looking at things differently. Mm-hmm. Then I think for me, the professional stuff, the career-wise, was just always about how am I going to pivot. That's it. So whether this opportunity came up or I got tired of radio, I quit radio twice. And because I felt like I was just done. I wasn't having fun anymore. So it wasn't necessarily anything that always, I mean, there's been things, but it's so hard for me to be like, damn, I guess that could have broke me. Or man, I don't know if that was, because I just always navigated and pivot. Mm-hmm. And I think it's something, but being from Houston, you learn how to do because there's so many avenues to make money. Yep. And there's so many ways to look at things. There's so many, it's just a diverse group of people that live out here versus I've met in radio, I've got to talk to so many different people, man. And it amazes me that sometimes there'll be people who have never left their neighborhood.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's people in different cities that, like in Phoenix right now, Phoenix is it's the 5th largest city in America, and like there's people that live in like Gilbert or the East Valley that have never been to the Cardinal Stadium on the west side in Glendale. And that's just how life is for a lot of people. And I've been able to talk with so many different people and be able to figure it out. Take other people's life experiences. Okay, this is what we can do right here. That's why I do real estate. That's why I had a restaurant. And COVID shut the restaurant down, but it was, man, put a lot of money into that restaurant, and to see, we didn't do anything wrong. And so it was kind of to understand, like, shit, I wasn't anything I did. But could we have done something better? Could we have navigated this right and done this? So it's just always taking those life lessons and watch what other people do. Yeah. Some people are too prideful to watch how other people messed up. And if you've had those conversations, they don't want you to mess up again. Your real people, if they're really your people, and they're just genuine people, they're going to give you a little game to be like, well, don't do what I just did. Try like this. I'm a person that listens to that, or I'll ask you the question of what happened. Some people are too prideful and they won't ask those questions.
Do you feel like you keep different people around you now that you've learned those lessons? Are you a little bit more selective of who you keep around now?
Yeah, but I don't think, the weird thing is, it's not like intentional selection. I think God does that. And it's so weird. Like, I don't.
Seasonal stuff.
Seasonal, but I think he just kind of.
I think God protects. I think God protects.
It's really, I guess, your energy. The energy that you carry is what you attract. So
I really like what
I think it's just like a shield.
Yeah, God protects. This is what I believe. God protects. God's gonna protect you from any energy, bad vibes, or anything that's gonna try to attack you, because He's like, hey, I believe if you're serving God and you look at God as first in everything you do, God's gonna protect you in every angle.
He aligns you.
Yeah,
He aligns you with the right things, right people.
Yeah, right. And I don't know if I don't think it sounds corny, but maybe it does. But no, I just really believe that. I've gone through some crazy stuff where, when 05 to 08 things were really popping and crazy out here in the city again.
That's when they hit the source.
But just a lot of stuff. But I think at this position in my life now, and then just being a dad later in life, my son is 4, and so I think it's just like a paternal instinct that just kind of kicks in as well. Of just I love, like, there's a base of love that I have for every human being on this planet.
Right.
That never changes. But then it's like, you know how to navigate yourself in positions, or do I think this is a smart move? No. Should I be here? Maybe not. And that's kind of like, so it's not selective, like, I don't like you, or like, I don't want to be around you. It's like, what's kind of the guarded interest to where, does this make sense for what I want to align myself and my brand with? Or can I say no and we're going to be all right? I'll still work with everyone. I just can't go right here, right now.
Right.
So how do you balance fatherhood versus work?
It's hard. It's not even just work. I'm getting my master's at ASU now, and in public administration, and another certificate in public policy writing, and
still working.
Yeah.
Still learning.
Yeah.
Still
that's the key. Still learning.
Yes.
You can't stop learning.
Yeah, you got to keep growing.
Keep learning.
And that's why I was like, oh, it's time, because that was the name of when I ran for mayor, and we can talk about that later.
Right.
but it was called It's Time Phoenix, and it was about, you know, switching stuff up, and that's why I went back to school, because if I ever decide to run again, that's why I'm going back to school. I'm more educated in public administration, and I know how to write policy. I know how to look at policy and analyze and know what's going on. There's a lot of internet people that always think they know, and they're politicians all the time. Every 2 years or election cycle, they don't know. It's horrible. And so I wanted to not feed into the bull crap that's out there, and I wanted to speak correctly when I'm talking about different things.
Right.
So that's why I had to insert school into my schedule. So, you know, being a partner, being a dad, and then work, and then traveling, and all the other side little ventures, that real estate. I'm a realtor as well. And like last night, I just put an offer in last night in the middle of a wedding. So you know what I mean? So I'm like, you know,
and he's still making moves.
There's really no balance between kids. I feel like the kids is here, and you got to work around them almost.
Yes.
It's not.
Yeah.
I started bringing my son and my kids to a lot of things that I do, because I don't want to have the conversation with them when they're like 15, 16, 17, 18, like, hey, look, this is what we got going on. This is what the family's doing. This is what I built for you.
Yeah.
I do it at a young age. I want them to be a part of it. I want them to see everything, and be inclusive of who they are and what they are, because they're an extension of me.
Right.
And I want to offer them the opportunity to understand these things at a young age and decipher, like, oh, Dad, like, this is for me. That's not for me, but I want to try this. I want to do this. And even the conversations that they're having are different with me. Like, my son started a Twitch. He's like into gaming, and I'm like, oh, well, how can we do this and get this going? Has a business plan in his head. He's only 8.
Nice.
Yeah.
So he's already thinking differently, versus me trying to form him and mold him at 18 to start thinking like, you know, like a hustler type of thing.
And I think that's the smart move, in my opinion. You know, my son is on my show on Sundays. And we started kind of a thing with dads around town. It's called Sunday, and
Sunday,
because I believe, you know, you got to have more dads involved in our sons' lives, man. And
Definitely.
And if it's not your son, then find somebody in the neighborhood, or maybe there's a mom or a sibling that doesn't have time or doesn't have that building with a man, or a father figure in their life. So that's why we started that.
Yeah.
And so he's on my show, and so like I try to incorporate him. He knows what's up with radio. He knows what's up with like streaming and TV. But I'm gonna let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I never forced him. He was like, Dad, well, how come we can't do a video? Well, you know, how come we can't start our YouTube? So we'll start doing some YouTube shorts and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, he asked you.
Oh yeah. He likes all that. He's already got the name of his TV show, and you know, he wants to write children's books.
It's in the blood.
Yeah.
It's
So
in the
I'm
blood.
like, all right, that's what we got to do.
So I think it's already in the blood. You just got to activate it.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Influence
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of accountability on my end too, because you're like, Dad, you know, you haven't done this in a while. Like, what's going on with that? I'm like,
Yeah, see?
hey, why are you calling me out?
They're sponges. They're sponges.
They are
He knows,
sponges.
they already
And they ask a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Daddy, what about this? Hey, Daddy, what about this? Hey, I'm like, all right.
Your kids almost read you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Because they always around you, so they pretty much read you.
Yep.
And sometimes it, you know, does it get annoying if you're a parent and you're lying? It does.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to
Oh,
lie.
yeah, it does.
It does get annoying sometimes. But at the same time, you want to be like, you know what? You kept me accountable.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
I should know the answer to that question.
Yep.
Right.
So
Yes.
you respect the kids too, man, because
Right.
they're just as curious, and maybe you forgot how to be curious.
Right.
Yeah.
We all should be curious every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's
Even
one
their
thing with public-
imaginations.
Yeah, imagine all that.
Yeah.
That's one thing with public administration and public policy. It really is to teach yourself to stay curious, and above all, I mean the education. I mean, you know, it costs money or whatever. Because when you're over 40 and you're Hispanic, there's not a lot of scholarship and grant opportunities for us. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
There are scholarships there for plenty of people, but to be a male Hispanic over 40, there's not a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So it's out of your
And-
own pocket.
I had to
Pretty
join.
much.
I had to join the military to get my education.
Right.
And I did that, and I was like, I'm not leaving this thing until I have all my education.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I know I look white, but I'm Mexican, so it's like, even going through those processes of everything, like even where you're from, it's not even talked about, and you start having these conversations so late, and you're in your 20s and 30s, and you're like, man, I need to be educated. And you start pursuing these at a later time, and then, like I said, the resources and all the opportunities start to kind of fade away.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you got to get on, like you. I think sometimes we kind of convince ourselves that we don't need it, but I think in a sense, like, what's gonna hurt not that, like, to have it.
Right. Right.
That's the only way you're gonna grow. Cause I know once I never did college, but I did my graduating high school. But after I got out, it started reading and educating myself a little bit more, because it's like without it, you're pretty much stuck.
Yeah,
like you'll find a place where you're stuck and you be wondering like, what am I gonna go from here? And once you put yourself with the more knowledge, now you can actually take yourself to the next level.
But you unlocked it right there. It's not about. I'm going to college because I like that formal type of learning, right? I wanted to go to ASU because it's respected in the city, it's respected in the country. They lead the country in innovation, and we're top 10, I believe, in public policy, or number 16, I think. Sorry about that. But again, it's to stay curious. It's to keep wanting to learn. It's to be excited about different ways to look at different, situations. And I also like it. I'm one of the oldest people in class, but that's okay because what I do in radio, I get to understand how to deliver different messaging.
Right? Yeah.
See, there's a lot of. I don't do just something at face value. Yeah. There's 1 or 2 or 3 different layers of why I do everything.
Okay.
And it's not manipulative. It is just for me that I don't have time just to do something because I want to do it. Right. I'm doing it because it's going to be better me somehow, so I can help more people somehow.
Right.
That's why I do most of the things.
Purpose behind it.
There's a purpose behind it.
Attraction. I think we build motion when we do that. When we do things intentionally, we have a better result.
Yeah.
And you have to do it intentionally.
Have to move with intention. But talking with Gary Vee, like the last time we talked was at during Super Bowl, and it's the same thing because people give him a hard time. He's like, oh, he says don't go to college, and it was a thing like, no, he's not anti-education.
Yeah.
When we're talking about this, it's just know if you are going to go to college.
Right.
Why you're going to get into college,
just don't go just to go.
Right. But he, just like everybody, a lot of people, you're supposed to encourage learning. Like you just said. You want to encourage learning.
It's all about learning. Like when I think about college, I feel like, what's your learning style? If you feel like you better at actually having a professor and somebody teaching you, some people like to be hands-on like that. Me, I'm more of a reader. I like to go get the book and I'll go sit at home and read it myself.
Online. You'd be great at online like that. See, I'm okay at online. I like to be in the classroom.
I like the one-on-one when it comes, let's just say like music or something, if I'm learning piano or something like that. But as far as books, I like to just get the book, sit back and read it myself and get it like that way.
One thing I know about this too is that when you read books, there's a lot of people that I know that they read books, they have so much education, so much knowledge, but they don't know how to put to action.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I believe is that when you get all this education, put everything, write it down, drop it down. Okay, how can I put this to action?
You got to take notes.
And you got to take the notes because I've sat down with a lot of people. They're like, man, they're smart. These people are very, very, very smart, real intelligent, but they're not taking no actions in what they've learned.
Yeah.
So I think the key
we all run into those.
Is action.
To
do. Yeah.
I think a big thing for me with education was that it taught me how to think. Like a doctor thinks like a doctor. An attorney thinks like an attorney. I pursued engineering because I like problem solving. So even though I'm not doing engineering now, I'm doing real estate. I problem solve constantly, and I have that engineering mindset to where I kind of like see how we can navigate and do things differently, and it brings a different level of understanding to any kind of industry. When you have education, you have a way, and you've been trained to think. It helps you navigate that industry a lot better than those that might not, have formal education.
Yeah, it brings the self-discipline also. When we think about it on all aspects of everything when it comes to learning, it's more so self-discipline because you got to want to be there. You got to want to learn. And once you can conquer that self-discipline, then you can conquer so much after that because that's a lot of people's downfall is they can't stay on it. They can show up one day and then they fall out. But when you saying, I'm going to show up to school every day, I'm going to wake up and read this book every day, as long as you showing up to the work, it's gonna all happen.
That's part of another key of my success is just showing up.
Yes,
a lot of people didn't want to show up.
Right.
And there were some times where even at any remote broadcasts at nightclubs, like that's how I ended up doing Hullabaloos on the Tubes. That's how I ended up doing Amazonia on the North.
I remember you showed up.
I remember. So your first radio station, you show like getting into that position. How did you show up and get into that first opportunity? How did that happen?
I just positioned myself around like my friends, like my brothers, like that took me in as the young kid under the wing, and I would show up to some clubs with a red backpack with promo records that I got from the people I mentioned before, and I would just be like, I'm here to drop these off to the DJ. And sometimes I didn't know the DJ, I was just here to drop them off, just so I can get in. Right. And so again, it was just positioning, like being able to be around people in positions that I wanted to be in, that I wanted to be like, or wanted to do what they're doing. And so over time, one night after T-Town, homie was like, I mean, I was in school, but I didn't need an internship, and I had kind of may not have told him I needed an internship in radio just to try to get in the door. And he's like, nephew, I know you're not really, you don't really have an internship. And I was like, oh yeah, well, yeah, okay. You don't need one.
I thought maybe.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to, trying to get myself in.
And he's like, but you can run a board, right? And sorry if this is how your imitation is, homie. And so I was like, yeah, I can run a board. How hard could it be? It's like, just like a mixer or whatever, And he's like, all right, show up Thursday night, 1 to 3 in the morning. G-Man has a remote. I'm like, all right, bet, I'll be there. And so that was it. I showed up overnight. And after that first night, the next week he's like, I forgot you know how to host. You want to be on the air? Hell yeah! So
Hell
it was
to
just
the
showing up and taking spots that nobody necessarily wanted to do overnight just for one shift. But I would have done anything to run the board for somebody just to do it from Club AM overnight.
Right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! And so.
And you're ready. You're
I
probably
already
ready
had the experience.
Yeah.
I've already been. That's how I met homie, was through either DJing or hosting or just dancing at the clubs or doing promo. And it was that preparation again to where I was just there. We went to go eat one night after the club and boom. And so shout out to homie Marco. He was my first program director. He gave me my first shot, and I'll always love him for that, man.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. I have a question on this one. How did you get the name the People's Champ?
I'm surprised you found that. So because of understanding and being around people and putting community service first. I mean, like I said, I was in Boy Scouts and my Eagle Scout project, so I've always known about giving back. My family's my family, both my mom and dad are educators.
So you're a giver.
I try to be, man. And that's where it kind of came from. And when I moved to Albuquerque from Houston in 2003, I was gifted a WWE belt. Before anybody can buy them belts now. There was a guy who was a referee, and he toured with the WW. Was it still WE or F at the time? I can't remember.
Probably WWF.
I can't remember. But he had got me the belt because he worked at our radio station in sales as well. And so we're talking ratings numbers that, like, in Albuquerque, we just killed it, man. 30 share at night, 54 on weekends.
Oh, wow.
That meant that more than half the population was listening to the show. And so it was just like, boom, we got the numbers. We're out here putting in the work. Pete Manriquez was my PD at the time. And it was a nickname. And to where one night I had called Paul up, and we were interviewing or something. And I was like, can you break down who had People's Champ first, please? And so Paul did admit. Paul, I wish you were here because I don't like talking about people when they're not here, but we could talk about the story. But I had People's Champ before the album came out.
Oh, yeah?
That's facts.
And you know what, that went through my head. I say, who was the People's Champ first?
No.
He's like, I was the first one.
So I had it before he had the album People's Champ. So, but shout out to Paul, because Paul, I mean, there ain't nobody could be just one People's Champ. I really got that People's Champ from Muhammad Ali watching the movie with Will Smith, and I was like, that's what I want. I want to be that person.
And I think Paul probably heard it also probably from wrestling, because back then I think The Rock was the People's Champ. Yeah, The Rock was the People's Champ.
Yeah. And there's just. I just remember watching that movie Ali, and I just saw, and then like Jada Kiss, the champ is here, and I was like, I want to do that for people, like, well, no matter what happens, however long we live or not, I want to be a champion for people that if something went down, that I could be able to help them out.
Let's fast forward, like, where is Crisco Kidd at today? Like, explain the career and what you got going on today. Yeah,
so today, still on radio, so every afternoon, 101.1 The Bounce.
Okay.
We're the Valley's throwback station. So I was on a station called Power out there for, I moved 2016. And I had left. I felt good walking away from radio because, again, you got to know your value. You have to know your value, man.
Yep.
And I stayed with that company through COVID. We worked every day live in studio, so putting my life at risk every day. And we took a pay cut. And when it was time to come back, I guess everything's reopening again, and I just wanted what I was supposed to get paid again. I wanted a commission. I wanted everything that I'd never got a bonus, and I was entitled to bonuses. There were some other things, but I knew my worth. And I was presented with another opportunity in the Web3 space to be a company's chief media officer, and help them with media, help them with putting content together. That was the role. And I was like, well, this company's going to pay me X amount of dollars more. These people, and I gave them the opportunity twice. Can you match it? Well, it's not on the radio station per se. So then at that point, I knew that I had to know my worth, because I can't keep telling people this and I don't follow myself. That's hypocritical and unfair to myself. So
and staying true to your identity too.
Yeah, I left.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. I was able to go to Dubai, was on a keynote panel for about mass media adoption in the Web3 space. And I was only there for maybe 3 or 4 months because the crypto winter hit last summer.
Yeah.
Well, the company was like, we just basically can't afford you anymore. And I knew these people. These were my friends. And I started getting treated like real shitty. And I'm like, why would y'all bring me out of radio? I left my whole career. I put my family, to come to this company and like you're treating me in this manner. When just say you don't have the money or you don't feel comfortable doing this anymore. Don't destroy a friendship that we had.
Right.
So anyway, I ended up walking away from that, and we just parted ways, and the station I'm at now have presented the opportunity, which is all throwbacks. So imagine everything from like late 90s to like mid 2010s, somewhere around there. So it's just throwback records. And so we're doing well, man. We're killing it. So that's every afternoon, 3 to 7. And that's where people can find me now. And on weekends, I've known Pitt since 2003. And 2017, I had opportunities to be his host.
Okay.
And from there, on every weekend, Pitbull's Globalization, Channel 13, Sirius XM.
What was it again?
Channel 13, Sirius XM.
Okay, all right.
So Pitbull's Globalization, so every Saturday, Sunday. And real estate. So you already know, man. It's a good. Oh, by the way, thanks for serving.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Have you military too?
No.
Yes. Okay. Thank y'all for serving. So real estate, and I was with a different brokerage, but I was like, 2023, I want some things to change. I started by going sober January. I was like, I'm doing dry January. I don't want to drink anymore, man. And so now this weekend it was like, okay, I still don't.
Dryish.
Yeah,
Dryish.
dryish March. Dryish March. Just because I wanted to do more. So I switched brokerages so I can be in a position to have more and be able to do more. So I was cool with my other brokerage, but now I'm with JMG, Jason Mitchell Group, and just a lot of different opportunities of what that company's given so far. And
what kind of real estate are you doing? You're doing
residential.
Residential?
Yeah.
Developments or acquisitions?
No, just just a realtor. So that's really, I've done some investments, I've done some wholesaling and been a part of like those projects. And flipping, I didn't like really flipping because my last partner was just a piece of trash, man. I'll just leave it at that.
There's a lot of that.
A lot, man. And so I was just like, and I only became a realtor to, again, help people, especially in the Spanish. I'm not fluent in Spanish, but I see how people get treated like crap if they don't speak English first. And there would be just a lot of shady brokers and a lot of shady realtors that no, you can only work with this, or we can't find you a house, or you're not going to be able to get this program. I'm like, what kind of crap is that? So I became a realtor so I could help with that situation. My girl Brenda, she speaks Spanish, and she's from Hermosillo. So like she's got her roots. She's got her own successful marketing company. And so we kind of work together on that aspect for real estate. And
well, we got to talk.
So we're
doing stuff in Scottsdale, Arizona right now.
So your wife is partnered up with you, or she does her own thing?
She does her own thing. She's got her own marketing agency. She also does voice work and TV work. But it's all Spanish, mostly Spanish or multicultural.
Yeah.
And but it's like a power situation, man. Like she is her own. She's got her own companies. And, and she's doing her thing. And we need to collaborate in real estate because she got her license as well, so we could be able to do what we're doing, man.
So how important is it to like actually have your partner on the side of you and actually like building that bond? Like, in the industry, in the entertainment industry, we got guys that's out here that's single.
Right.
But do you feel like that helps you out by actually having your woman with you?
Oh, yeah. And you don't have to be like right there by your side all the time, but I think it helps when they're educated. She comes from radio as well, so kind of know what is happening.
Right.
Because in entertainment, it's hard to explain to somebody who's not in entertainment in any fashion. And those relationships, they've never worked out for me per se, but she gets it, right? And so it does help. I think a tremendous amount. And we get the balance. If I know she's got important projects, it's like, okay, you pump your brakes. Let her go do what she's got to do.
All right.
And I should probably do a better job at that sometimes. And that's just something I got to work on as a man, and just to be able to compliment, right?
Yeah.
You got to, because if I find myself that I'm doing too much, and that's why she's being very patient with me going back to school again, because you know, I should probably only be taking 1 or 2 classes, but I'm taking full course load.
Like I got to take 12.
Yeah, it was tough last semester because I'm the host for the Arizona Cardinals as well, and so that was tough throughout the season. To be able, I shouldn't have done 3 classes. I probably should have stuck to 2.
Taking that time away.
Right.
It's like 24 hours.
Right.
It's
like,
how long
man.
you sleeping? What's your wake up?
How many hours you would sleep, man?
I'm supposed to, by code, supposed to divide my day into 3 parts. 8 hours for each, but it's hard to maintain that balance sometimes.
Yeah.
So 8 hours is a luxury. So
I think it's the provider in us as men. Like we have this provider instinct that we want to go out and be that and do that and get it done.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So tell us about you running for mayor. Like what influenced you to do that?
Again, really George Floyd, and in Arizona there was a case of a man named Deion Johnson. Happened the same pretty much weekend. And Deion Johnson didn't get the attention that the case should have got, which is unfortunate, because I feel like the Arizona Department of Transportation got away with something. And the case with Deion was that he was it was Memorial Day weekend, and he was pulled into the middle lane, or like kind of like where on a freeway where you're coming the entrance ramp, and then there's like this little triangle kind of like where kind of cars sometimes can. So he pulled into one of them and was asleep, and the whole case is shady because some of the cameras weren't working. And all of a sudden, this wasn't recording and all this stuff. They basically woke him up and out of his sleep, and they had pulled him out of the car, and while they were arresting him, they said that he had reached for the officer's gun, and the officer had shot him, and he ended up bleeding out from an artery hit. And so the ambulance was just right down the ramp, and they wouldn't allow him, that ambulance, to come up and get the help he needed.
Right.
And so there was just a lot of problems with this case, including like, and I'm not a lawyer, but you just know like, well, he had his keys in the ignition, and he was reaching this, and I tried, I'm like, what kind of car was he driving? A 2011 or some Prius. I'm like, Prius don't even have keys in the ignition. How did nobody catch this, right? Yeah. It's a push to start. There's no keys in the ignition in a Prius.
Are you reaching for the gun? Is like, why was the gun out?
There was just some discrepancies, and so to build with that case on top of what was already happening with George Floyd and just different calls for police, like, and I'm an independent, so I don't fully align with this party. I don't fully align with this party, and so when I ran, and I wasn't gonna run, I was on the air, and I was just like, I want to hear from. I'm calling out the different agencies. It's always been where any agency, police, fire, council people, the mayor, anybody can call and I've made it abundantly clear that you have my platform, and we can have this conversation anytime. And so nobody would take the call. We went to the protest, and I'm going into different CIOs, the community information officers. They didn't have any answers. They wouldn't speak. And I said, if I don't get answers, and I can't talk to anybody, I'm gonna run for mayor. And so that's how it started. Yeah. Because I wanted people to be held accountable. I don't like how one group of people can do this, the other group cannot, and vice versa. Yeah, right. It has to be equal. That's the point of the law. And when I saw and I see things that are happening that's hypocritical, I don't like it. So I step in to try to. We got to find this balance. Right. That's why I ran for mayor, and I had my restaurant at the time. There were other small businesses in my area that weren't getting all this COVID CARES relief and funding. We hadn't been open a year, so we couldn't qualify for the PPP and these different loans that the city was giving out because we didn't have to prove any loss. Yeah, right. We didn't have anything the year prior. We just launched, soft launch in December. In January, we were killing it. Our Sunday, we had a line. We had chicken and churros. It was called Famous Churros, man. And so, like, we did a lot of creative crap with like our churros, man.
Churros is
and
churros.
So it was popping.
Yeah.
And Sundays we had like our kids brunch and DJ. And man.
Yeah.
But anyway,
great time.
Man, we couldn't get the funding, and so that was pissing me off even more. I'm like, damn. thank God that I didn't have to put my whole life savings. And there's people with food trucks and little vendors, street vendors that give their whole. And I was like, damn. Then the street vendor stuff started happening where people were getting attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing.
And that's again. So I did this thing called Street Vendors Strong in my parking lot. And we had as many vendors, or however we can like legally fit for fire code that we knew. Mm-hmm. And we were collecting money, or we were we didn't charge anybody to be a part to sell their items, do whatever. Mm-hmm. I just wanted the street vendor and the food truck person to get the same damn respect.
Right.
Because they're all independent hustlers out there trying to get it.
Oh yeah.
You
That's
should
right.
be permitted. You should definitely have this.
Right.
But let's just try to get that same respect because you were able to. Maybe you had a situation where you were able to afford a food truck. It doesn't discount what these people are trying to do with the street card.
Right.
And so that was the point. I wanted to have unity between that. It was successful. And then there started being pop-ups after that. I was like, cool, take the idea and run with it.
Right.
I started seeing that street vendor stuff, and I was like, what is the street vendor? I've never been to a street vendor and wanted to like beat him up. Like I'm like, what
it's
are they
going
doing?
crazy again right now. In the past week, we've seen 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
Like it's getting physically violent now to the street vendors, and it's like, bruh, what is happening?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that motivated me.
Videotaping it. Like they're filming.
Yeah,
it,
somebody
like,
film it and not jumping in to help per se. Like even in St. Louis, they saw the guy just put the gun together and blow the guy's head out. This is last week, and the guy's filming it instead of like, "Yo,
hey,
what are you doing?" Yeah,
what is happening here? And that's unfortunate. So
everybody thinks they a videographer.
Yeah,
they want to capture the footage.
They want to go record everything. I want to go viral, bro. I don't give a shit about y'all going viral shit.
Instead of helping out. So if I do. I was approached to actually run for a state senator this past election during the midterm things. Yeah. And I thought about it. Like, I thought hard about it. Like, it was a position where we had the money, we had the backing if I wanted to. Yeah. And I didn't feel it was the right time. Yeah. I want to be complete with everything on the formal education stuff. Right. Because I don't want anyone to question me about the book smarts end of it.
Yeah.
Because I'll beat you or I'll meet you on there.
Yeah.
You don't have 24 years of building with communities and radio experience.
Exactly.
You don't have. Yeah. Like I look through all these politicians and I look through their page and I only see any type of community event during election time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You go to my feed, you're seeing it every damn day.
Because you're a people person.
You're the people
and that's
person.
The difference.
Yeah.
They can never get that experience that I built with communities.
Yeah. Right.
So when it comes down to talking about communities and what can we do together, how can you match me?
Right.
What is your experience?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you out here collecting signatures and trying to do a food drive now.
Yeah.
Man, I've been hosting a toy drive since 2007 in front of the Walmart on Dunvale.
Right.
I would sleep out there 24/7 until we met the goal of 2,000 pounds. Has any politician ever slept outside of anything?
That's what I know.
No.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if I do decide to run again, and then you have to quit radio, which I feel is unfair, because if this is my livelihood, I can take care of people, and I don't have to necessarily even if I'm not campaigning using on air, you still have to walk away from it. And so I had to leave radio.
Yeah.
Thank God my company at the time, my program director was really cool. I was just kind of still working the building, but I just couldn't be on air.
You couldn't be on the air and everything. Okay.
Right. So I have to put that on hold again if I ever decide to do it again.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
I think they should start letting younger people or let's say around 30s, 40s, probably 40s. But instead of how the president is always old, let's just think about Biden. He's a very old person. So when you think about it, you got an old person running the country and making the decisions or whatever.
Right,
and it's I feel like you got younger and fresher brains that can help actually push our culture, everything a little bit forward. Because I feel like we're moving slow.
Yeah. That's a whole different podcast, man.
Right.
That's a whole different podcast. But
definitely.
And overall, everything, so, hey, what I'll let you know is that, the number one thing here, and then what I realize in this is, having you as a guest in It's Time podcast has been an honor, and hey man, thanks for I'm reached out to you and everything. Thanks for reaching back with me and everything, we're looking forward to maybe later on in the future doing another podcast, different topics like maybe politician or something else, another follow up. But hey man, it's been an honor, and like I said again, thank you for accepting this invite and everything, and I just want to share and let you guys know is. Crisco, if you want to follow Crisco, how can they follow you? And
everything. Which camera are we doing here? Which camera would you like? You want the main one? Here we go. everything is at Crisco Kidd, and that's for anybody. All your branding should be the damn same if you can. All right, at Crisco Kidd, 2 D's on the Kid. You can find me Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. What else we got? Name it. MySpace. I think mine's still up there. If you can find it.
You can follow every platform out there. So if you want to want to reach out to Crisco, go into the platform, say a high five, put a like. Do what you guys like to go do and everything. And great guy. And again, this Sam from It's Time Podcast, Sam Nunez.
Christopher Lopez.
Goddamn Sam.
Damn Sam.
Goddamn Sam.
All
right. Peace.